at Lisa's Sewing Shop. Today we are working on repairing a pair of jeans to try to save them. Most jeans these days are rather expensive. Once in a while you can get a generic pair that might be a little less expensive, but any of the name brands are definitely going to cost some money. So just because you get a hole in them does not mean that you really want to throw them away. So we're going to show you how you can repair your jeans to make them last longer and still be usable. So as you can see, this is all wore out through the leg area. This is ripped all the way through. This is about probably a 7-inch long section, and this is probably about 3 inches wide. So this fabric up here, although it's not all the way through, is very thin, and so is this area. Now, as we go down the leg, the fabric gets back to the normal strength of the jean fabric. But everything from here all the way up to the crotch area is rather thin and very worn. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Now, over here on the other side, let me show you this other leg. This is a leg that I just finished patching. I think you could see all my stitches. I actually patched further down than where the hole was. It goes from further over to the side and further over this way. And the reason why is I wanted to make sure where this fabric was really thin that we were able to actually cover all of that with our patching jeans material so that this didn't rip out a second time. So this fabric is a stretchy jeans material. You ladies will recognize the name Judy Blue. That's the brand of these pants. So because this is stretchy, I wanted to find a patching jeans material that was also stretchy. So that's what this is. I had worked on another pair of pants and I had cut them off, and this was one of the ones that I had saved. I saved one piece that I've used in here. This is the other piece that I'm going to use on this side. So give me a few minutes to get everything set up, and then I'll be back in and we'll go over details on how you can do this. Okay, so on the first thing I did was on this stretchy patch jeans material I'm going to use. Notice jeans material is really bad about raveling out. Well, I didn't want it to ravel out after I put it underneath the part that is ripped here on the leg. So what I'm going to do is use a zigzag, and I'm going to zigzag all the way around this as a seam finish, and I'm going to cut these extra threads off so that they're not laying around on the inside of the pant leg. I'm going to zigzag this and I'll be right back to show you what it looks like. Okay, so on this piece of patching jeans material, I've got it zigzagged all the way around the edge, and I've trimmed off any loose threads so that it wouldn't be raveling out inside the pant leg. Just so you can see it, this is the other leg that I already did. You can see that these are the same size patching. The biggest part of the hole is up here, but I did make it go a little bit further down to keep it from raveling out anymore down the leg. So once we get into this, I'll show you how I did this sewing. But for right now, what we want to do is look at this other leg that has the hole on it. So we need to take this, and if you'll notice, when you work with jeans and stuff, sometimes one side will kind of be curved one way and another side will be curved another way. It's because that's the way the pant legs were cut. This one, I noticed the inside seam here curves a little bit this way. So on my patch, this curves a little bit that way too. So I'm going to line that up with this seam that was on the inside of the leg. And I'm going to actually sew this right to that same seam. So let me get a few pins in here to hold it in place. I'm lining up the raw edges. And then I'm going to go in and do a straight stitch. And then I'm going to zigzag over the edges again to keep it from getting all raveled out and messy inside the pant leg. So remember, you're going through several layers of fabric here because you're working with heavy jean material. Sometimes you're going to have to work with your pins to get them through all the different layers. So give yourself a few extra minutes and be patient while you're doing that. And I need a couple more. Okay. And we'll do one more right down here on the end. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to hold this up so you can see it. There's the original inside seam of the leg that goes down the inside of your pant leg. And this is where I laid the patch right over top of that seam. And we're going to sew in that seam allowance that was already there. We're going to sew right down the middle of that. And then we're going to zigzag over the edge again to keep it from raveling out. As soon as I get that done, I will be right back with you. Okay, so here's the patch piece. There's the original hole. I laid this down on the leg. This was the original seam on the inside of the leg. And so what I did was I straight stitch seamed this all the way down here. Then I went back with the zigzag and I zigzagged close together all the way over the edge of the raw fabric to get all of this sealed up so it wouldn't ravel out. Now, let me get this laid back out here. Now we're ready to prepare for the next part. So you're going to lay your leg out as flat as you can. Make sure everything's laying out real smooth, no bumps or wrinkles underneath. And now what we've got to do, and really there's no better way to do this than just to put your hand inside the pant leg. And what we need to do is, while that's flat, we need to put some pins in here to hold this in place so that when we get ready to sew the patch on to the regular leg part, it will hold in place where we need to sew. So there's the bottom. Now let me come up the side here. Get this flat again. Now I'm going all the way through the patch and the original leg. So I'm going all the way through to what you would normally see on the outside of the pants when you're wearing them. Let me get this all put together here. I think I'm going to need a few more pins. Okay, you can see how it's looking so far. And now I'm going to pause this and I'm going to go up just like I was doing on the inside here and here and pin that in place, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've got this all pinned on here. I think you can see all that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to straight stitch sew across the end, up the side, across the top, and I'm going to back stitch here and here. When I get that done, then we're ready to turn it right side out and do our stitching on the other side. So let me get this part done and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so now I've got this sewed all the way around here, and this side is sewed to the seam. So now I'm going to pause the camera. I'm going to turn the entire pants right side out, and then we'll be ready to do our stitching like you can see on the back side of this first patch I did. I will show you how I do all that to hold everything in place and to make this where people can wear their jeans for quite a bit longer period of time. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so our next step now that we've got all of this fastened from the inside, and I'm going to try to hold this up close. Hopefully you can see where the seams went through there, where we've got everything sewn down on the patch. I'm hoping you can see all that. That'll hold everything from the inside. Now what we want to do is reinforce everything on the outside to make it last even longer. So the first thing I want to do, right here where this seam is, I'm going to set my machine on zigzag. And let me show you this one. This is the one I already did. I did 2 rows of zigzag, one on the inside of the seam right there, and one on the outside of the seam that was already there. I wanted that to hold up really well because it was pretty thin down here on the fabric. This one's the same way. The fabric is rather thin right here on that seam. So we're going to zigzag right on top of the seam right there. And then I'm going to scoot over and we're going to zigzag a little bit on the outside of that seam all the way up. As soon as I get that done, I'll bring it back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I'm hoping this shows up well in the camera for you. We have the first zigzag row. I did it right on top of the seam that was already there. Then I scooted over just a little bit and I did another zigzag row right up next to that one. That way this is all reinforced. Remember on the back side we sewed it with a straight line stitch and we did a zigzag. Now we've put 2 more zigzags on top. This has been reinforced 4 times now. So that'll hold all of that together. Now our next part is going to be to repair, fix, and stabilize where the hole is here. You can see where it's totally worn all the way through and almost through down in this area. So if you'll remember right over here, let me get this up here so you can see it. You will see these little, like a checkerboard where I've sewed this way and this way. That was to reinforce that every 1/2 inch so that that would not rip out anymore. That's the exact same thing we're going to do here. I'm going to go from this line of stitching that we added from doing the putting on the patch over to here. Do it again, every 1/2 inch, which is 4/8 inch on your machine, or it'll be 4/8 on the guide plate, excuse me. That will reinforce that, and we're going to do that from the crotch area all the way down here to about the beginning of the knee area, because that's the thinnest part of the fabric. So I'm going to do all the cross stitching. When I'm done with that, I'm going to turn the fabric around, and then I'm going to do long stitching, long rows. Same thing, 1/2 inch apart or 4/8 inch on your guide plate. And I'm going to sew all of these. When I get that done, I'm going to trim all of my loose threads, and then I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like. So I'll be back with you just as soon as this is finished. Okay, so I think you can see my stitching. I've done all the stitching going across. So you can see where I backstitched, sewed across, backstitched. So now what I'm going to do is trim off all of my loose thread to make everything look nice, neat, and clean. And when I get that done, then I'm going to turn my jeans around on my sewing machine so that I can sew long ways and do another reinforcement for the jeans. Okay, so there we go. Now, I'm going to turn this around to show you. Sometimes when you're turning these jeans around, it's kind of hard to get this. There's another thread. Kind of hard to get this on the arm where you need it. You're just going to have to work and go back and forth a little bit at a time until you get it to where it feels like it is comfortable under the arm and under the foot. So I'm trying to adjust the camera so you can see this. So I'm going to have mine here, and I'm going to be sewing up and down this way. As soon as I get that done, I'll be right back with you. Okay, we've got our little checkerboard design sewed on here, holding everything down. The only thing I'm going to do now is double check, make sure I've got all my loose ends. There's a few fuzzies that I'm going to cut off just to make this look better, mostly from where the fabric was wearing through. But be careful, don't cut all the way through, you know that. But just wanted to give you an idea what this looked like. Now we've got both legs repaired. Here's one, here's the other. These jeans are heavy enough. We reinforced them 4 to 5 times a piece, so they should last at least another year before this person would have to go buy a new pair. So hope that gives you an idea on what you can do to patch your jeans or work pants and not have to throw them away. Talk to you later. Bye.